welcome to Business Class Ahead on the show today. The doors are open on a new concept in budget hotels for style-conscious travellers. Virgin trials instant upgrades, and we visit Monaco on the French Riviera, ahead of the world's most famous Grand Prix, indeed probably the richest as well. But first, the Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has confirmed that the government is closely looking at adopting a ban on laptops on flights. Of course, the move would bring Australia in line with the likes of the USA and UK, and as part of a strategy to minimise the threat of terrorist attacks. Well, joining us with more, Christian Schweitzer, General Manager of Travel Daily. Christian, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Today. Yes, views on this morning, interestingly, from the Prime Minister. Just as background, are we aware of any actual impact on the bans that are currently being enforced by the US and UK?
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, a quick recap. The Trump administration has enforced a ban on 10 countries across the Middle East and North Africa for flights flying from there into the USA. So the laptop ban is in effect. There is a tremendous knock-on effect with that. For instance, questions around, at what point do you surrender your laptop at the gate, or do you need to pack it away? There are certainly some questions around delays with additional staff needing to be hired in order to handle additional baggage, security procedures and things like that. And it certainly does bring a number of questions up around the elements of risk as well. For instance, all these lithium-ion batteries being stored in cargo, what risk mitigation is there around that the airlines may need to take?
In terms of reaction to those travellers who have sort of come into contact with the ban, how are they getting, or are you aware of how they're getting around what is a pretty big inconvenience?
Oh, it certainly is. The likes of Qatar, Emirates and Etihad are providing their business and first class guests with iPads and laptops on board there, but your personal devices do need to be surrendered. Others perhaps are opting not to fly, or to fly, if they have to get to the States, perhaps flying in via Canada, so there might be some rerouting there, but it is certainly an impediment and inconvenience to many travellers, not just business travellers, but leisure travellers too.
And look, should we see it adopted here in Australia, what do you think the reaction from local travellers would likely be?
Well, they certainly won't be happy. I mean, particularly the business community, they do like to take advantage of using their own laptop up in the sky and get some really good work hours done there. So, yeah, it's certainly not a good thing at all.
Also news about suggestions being that the Trump administration looking to extend the bans into Europe and through Europe?
Well, that's right, and it's got a lot of people worried. So currently there are around 500 flights per day from Europe into the United States. So the Department of Homeland Security in the United States there is considering, extending that ban across to Europe, so much so that there are a number of European committees that are convening tonight to discuss what the impact and the consequences of a potential ban could be.
Yeah, well, as mentioned, still waiting for any more sort of detail and clarity in terms of the Australian government. But want to switch on to the Dreamliner. There's been a lot of talk about Dreamliners, in particular flying return to Europe on the cheap, but no frills, is that correct?
Well, no frills, that is the word. So Scoot, which is the low-cost offshoot of Singapore Airlines, has recently taken delivery of the latest of their 787-8 Dreamliner aircraft. It'll be the aircraft that flies from Australia via Singapore into Athens. And they announced that and have started selling fares on that particular service some time ago, but incredibly cheap prices. So fares were from Perth up to Athens from around $369 one way, including taxes. From Sydney or Melbourne, you're looking at $419 one way, including taxes. So it's about as cheap as it gets. Mind you, you did say no frills, so pretty much on that service, you'd only get one meal. You do then, if you wanted luggage, if you wanted some premium meals and things like that, you would certainly need to buy up, and so you ratchet up the pricing.
So that's how they're doing it, with low operating costs.
Well, that's right.
What else sort of feeds into the ability? Because that's extraordinarily low.
It's incredibly cheap there. So you're right. So it's because it is exceptionally modern and efficient aircraft, it means their operating costs are very low, and they're able to pass on those lower costs to the consumer. So it's a great win for the consumers, for those that really want to travel on the cheap.
What about things like entertainment, things like that? I mean, would you expect to have to pay extra for things like that?
Yes, if you go onto the Scoot website, you can certainly see the range of customisation available, and that obviously comes at a cost.
And worth noting, it's not direct, so you're stopping via Singapore.
You're transiting via Singapore. There's also a very cheap business class option as well. They call it Scoot Biz, and it's not full. Yeah, it's not full recliner beds or anything like that. But it's about starting from around $2,000 one way up to Athens, which is pretty cheap there. So double that to get back, and it's a very cheap business class fare.
How popular do you think it's likely to be? And
it will attract a market. I mean, when you lower that particular price, it brings in a pool of customers there. So there will certainly be a market that just want to travel as cheaply as they possibly can.
Let's move on. Virgin Domestic's upgrade trial. Talk us through this one.
So this was announced just this week. So you book an economy fare, and it's only available when flying between Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne on Virgin Australia Domestic. And around 5 days prior to your departure date, you log on to the Virgin website there, and you'll see an icon, if it's available, where you can purchase a business class upgrade on the cheap. So it could be as little as $200 to upgrade to a business class fare. That then brings with it a range of advantages. So for instance, access to the lounge, priority boarding and things like that. It is meant to complement an additional service that they currently have, which is kind of like an auction online. So you can
place they already have sort of a bidding process, don't they?
Yeah. So it's a bit like an auction there. So you can put in a bid to upgrade, and if you win, that represents a cheaper way of getting a firm business class fare. But of course, you could also be outbid. So this is an evolution of that, just to guarantee your business class flight.
Any ideas the kind of money people could potentially be saving?
I went through the experiment and I saw an upgrade for as little as $200, but it will depend whether it's a flight from Brisbane to Melbourne and what time of day. So there are many variables there.
What about those people, premium travellers in terms of with Virgin, be they platinum, gold or so forth? Does this then, as a consequence, lessen the chance of them getting the free upgrades?
Yeah, well, essentially, Virgin certainly want to make money there, and they would rather make a small amount of money on an empty chair rather than no money at all. So it is perhaps designed for them to increase their yield on the seats that are available.
Let's turn to the big rival, of course, Qantas. Yes. Good news for people who are travelling through Perth. You'd have to expect there's going to be a few more considering the flights through into Europe.
Yep.
Perth Hub, lounge, what can we expect?
A big, redevelopment of the terminal there, a bigger international terminal being built, and that really is designed to create a hub over in Perth for Qantas flights to the UK when they commence in March of next year. In addition to that, there will be a streamlining by combining a number of the terminals through the upgrade there, so that you can pass through customs and immigration a lot faster. And Qantas have also announced that they'll be putting in a premium international lounge as well.
That comes with a wellness facility and an outdoor barbecue.
Exactly.
What?
Yes. Exactly. Yes, we haven't seen any artist renderings or anything like that, but yes, indeed, they've said that there will be an outdoor Aussie barbecue available for guests of the lounge.
When do we expect it to be completed? When are we going to be able to enjoy it?
In time for that international flight from Perth to London next year, commencing in March. So it'll be ready by March next year.
For those not all that keen on flying, it seems we're getting a lot more acquainted with cruise lines.
Yes, this is a tremendous story about growth. So Clear Australasia, which is the body that represents the cruise industry within Australia, has announced their results of Aussies travelling throughout 2016. And there was 1.28 million Australians took a cruise in 2016, which represents a 20% growth on 2015. So it's a massive love affair with cruising. Amongst their favourite was cruising around the South Pacific, followed closely by cruising around Australia, and then New Zealand was third as a cruise destination. So some really impressive trends, and cruising is on the up and up.
Have you ever done it?
I've done many cruises.
Really?
Yes. River cruises, ocean cruises as well.
And who's on them?
Well, it depends. In fact, 30% of the people that travelled in 2016 were 40 years and younger. So
is that right? That
really
dispels the kind of myth,
absolutely.
Right?
Well, Disney cruises are all about family. Carnival cruises are all about family too. But there are also some cruises for an older market segment as well.
All right, let's move on and back to the airlines, or back to airports. LAX terminal. a bit of a shake-up. What's happening and how does it affect us?
Okay, well, so yes, over the last few days there's been a number of changes at LAX International Airport with various airlines changing terminals. It's as a result of a $1.9 billion upgrade to the airport there that will see, again, terminals linked, more terminals being built.
Well, there's nothing worse than to go outside and go down that side road with all, next to all the cabs and going back in.
Exactly. So they want to expedite all that, make it a lot more efficient. And so it does certainly impact a number of airlines. Qantas won't be impacted, but Virgin Australia have moved already to a new terminal. It's T2, and Delta, for instance, has moved to T2 and T3, depending whether it's an international or domestic flight there. But many changes ahead. Check social media before you get there.
Good call, Christian Schweitzer. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From Travel Daily. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, a new hotel for Perth. We speak to the founder of the Tribe Hotel Group about their small but pretty smart and pretty interesting new space. Stay with us.